Well, hello again. We're still on the Crosley radio, of course. I just thought I'd show you something I just got through the mail a little while ago. Brendan, my electronics mentor up in Michigan, he got one, and he told me about it. And I said I looked it up, and he didn't show me his, but he told me what it was. I looked it up online on YouTube and everything. And I said, that's exactly what I've been looking for. Great minds think alike. And I'll show you what it is. It's really very cool. It is the neatest little radio. It's a hand crank radio. It runs off of batteries, and you can even buy a power pack adapter for it, on eBay somewhere, to plug it in to the wall. This is a wall wart. Takes, I think it's 4.5 volts DC. So if you already have one, it probably would work. But this little boy sold me this one. I am just so delighted with this thing. He packed it perfectly. He represented it on eBay exactly what it was. And the guy was so considerate. He even put batteries in it for me, so when it arrives, it'd be ready to go. These are the batteries that the hand crank, when you crank it up like this, these are the batteries that the hand crank charges. This is an emergency radio, okay? Very cool indeed. And it picks up stage. I'm going to turn this on. I'll let you see it, and then we'll get started on our Crosley. Let me get the antenna up here. Big old tall antenna. I've been wanting an emergency radio because I don't like the way the politics is going in this country. We may all be out in the woods somewhere for survival soon. I don't know. I don't care. I'm ready if we are. Anyway, let's turn it on here. It's This is called a dynamo. When you charge it with the handle, it's called the dynamo that charges those batteries. Then you've got an adapter, which is something that did not come with the radio originally. You could order it as an option, and it did not come with this one. He told me that. Or you can run it on the battery, or you can, just ready to go. So, or you can run it on some other kind of, it says power. I guess it's just to power off, power on. So we'll go to the battery. It's got a coarse adjust and a fine adjust. Is that the coolest thing? That is so cool. It's got a flashlight too. Watch the light. The light's not very bright, but right now I'm on shortwave. It has shortwave 1 and 2, and it goes up to 22 megahertz on the shortwave. That's pretty cool, huh? Go to FM.
For out-of-state travel for training is required. Great benefits, plus tuition-free degree and secondary education programs.
It's just the neatest thing. I paid $25 for that thing, and with shipping and tax, it came to $36. Nothing I could do about that, but $25 for that radio is great. Came with a carrying case and the paperwork with it. It looks brand new. The guy told me it was fantastic. He said it's looks very well, works great. And he's 100% right. I cannot wait to give this guy positive feedback and send him a personal message telling him how much I appreciate it. I just wanted you to see that. Okay, now time to move on to the Crosley. It is time to hit this with a little bit of sandpaper now, and by sandpaper I mean 1000 grit. Okay, 1000 grit. Where's the 1000? It says it somewhere on the back of one of these papers. There it is right there. 1000 grit. The only place you're going to find this stuff is at an auto parts store or an automotive paint store that sells paint for cars. You won't find it in Walmart, or any place like that. So 1000 is what I use. It's very, very fine, and it won't tear up the surface that I've already built up. 400 is too coarse. Don't be using 400 on this now. All you're doing is basically using the pressure from your hand to just kind of go over. See how I'm barely touching it? It's already beginning to get lines. And that'll smooth down anything that might still be sticking up just a bit. Just a bit. Just the weight of your hand up here. Keep cleaning it out. Smooth it down. There's a lot of little bumps on there that you don't see, and this 1000 grit paper will take care of it. without tearing up the finish. Little places. Now you run your hand over. Now this veneer, after you you know, spray the stuff or put your filler on and work it and everything, the veneer is wavy. Okay, there's nothing you can do about that. I could sand it down, but I'd wind up sanding through the veneer because it's so thin. So the best thing to do is, you can see the waves. See the waves here? Those are not unfilled spots. Those are just waves in the wood, the grain. Okay. And you know, it's just something you're going to have to live with. Now a lot of that'll disappear, of course, when you put your stain on, your sealer, and then a little bit of stain, and then the toner, whatever toner you're going to put on. Sometimes you don't put toner on. It's up to you. You don't have to put toner on this stuff. You don't have to seal the grain. You don't have to do anything. I would recommend it though. It's your radio. Do what you want. Anyway. All I'm doing is just allowing the weight of my hand on there. You don't have to go crazy, okay? Just barely letting the paper do the work. 1,000 grit is about as coarse as a sheet of paper. Now we'll work the rest of the cabinet over the same way. I've got to get some kind of, this has a lot of gloss in it, as you can see. It's got to be removed to the point where the stain will take, and whatever toner I want to put over the top of it. Otherwise it just won't adhere. You got to have some kind of a rough surface for that. Right here I got a little goofy looking thing. Look at that goofy looking thing. You know, you always have to have some goofy looking thing there sticking up in the air. I'm going to have to pick that out with my knife and glue it in. That there's nothing. But that right there can't be, we can't let that stay, can't let that remain stuck up in the air like that. That sucks. Now on the sides, I'm going to have to put a lot more pressure because there's probably, I've gone over it with the goop and removed all the dirt and hopefully the wax and all that, but you know, I'm sure there's a lot I missed that the goop won't get up. And I'm going to sand it. It's not like you're tearing up the finish, you know. This is being 1,000 grit paper. It's it just basically smooths everything down. It's pretty rough, you know. There's a lot of blemishes in the wood. We're going to leave those. Those are battle scars, people. At least in my mind. I look at it that way, okay? They'll be stained up when we're done. You won't be able to notice them too much unless you do a complete inspection of it. I've decided it might be better. What this is a nail. And when it went down through, it caused the little piece of veneer to pop out, or it's probably been like that forever. I don't know. I don't see any fresh wood on there anywhere. But what I'm going to do is take a little Phillips head screwdriver that I have, and I'm just going to put it on the head like that and tap it with the hammer and countersink it. Then I'll fill in the hole and glue the little piece in, and hopefully it'll hold forever. That worked out pretty well, and I was able to sand that little piece of chip of wood there. It stayed. I couldn't believe it. And all I have to do now is I'm going to put a couple drops of super glue down in that hole to make sure that nail doesn't come back out and to hold that wood in. I'll tell you what, actually I should reset this nail right here. Let me get a little closer there. I should go ahead and reset this nail down in and this nail down in also. Where's it at? Right there. And put some super glue in there and then fill all three at once. I think that's the best course. Those nails are starting to come out already. Oh, I mean, it's only been 90 years too. Amazing, huh? Alright, we shall fill in these holes now with the putty. Paste wood filler, I guess. We'll just fill all three of them babies in there. Squish it down in there. Let it dry a little bit and then wipe it off and then sand it down. It should dry quick. You're supposed to wait for this stuff to dry overnight, 24 hours, but you know, when you got a hole as tiny as this one, I don't think we'll have to do that. And we have the same problem on the other side. Now I had previously glued these in with super glue, so we'll go ahead and get these filled too. Unbelievable. You know, it's possible that they had filled these and the filler just fell out, because if you look at this last one, it's got white stuff in it. I think that's filler from the factory. I doubt that anyone else has ever done it. Doesn't look like anything's ever been done to this radio, except a electrolytic capacitor changed out. Speaking of electrolytic capacitor and all that, I found two tubes that are bad. The rectifier and the output tube are both bad, so I got a hold of our good buddy Bob Dobush again. He's putting 2 of them in the mail to me. He's the best guy on the internet that I've found as far as prices go. He's very easy to get along with. I like that. You know, I mean, I've had guys on the internet that want to sell stuff and they're just nothing but a couple of crabs, you know. Well, in that case, the money stays in my pocket. You know, I don't really care. Just go somewhere else. Well, both of the sides are nice and smooth now. And yeah, they still got those old battle scars in them, but a lot of that will disappear, like I said, with sealer and with stain. Now I'm smoothing down this part right here. Now the best part about using 1000 grit black paper or silicon carbide is what it is, or wet dry, whatever you want to call it, you can sand against the grain and it won't put lines in it because it's so fine. It's like sanding with a sheet of typing paper. It'll smooth down the high ridges. You see all the ridges are beginning to pop out? We'll get rid of those. And if I were to fill these with wood filler, it would look weird. There would be no, you want the lines to be horizontal because that's the way it was designed. Okay? If I were to fill it in, it would take away that horizontal look, and we don't want that. We just want it to make it look antique-y, but at the same time, we want it to look good. So it's kind of a fine line. You have to see this line right here. Look at that. By sanding very lightly, it exposed that line right there. But I just want to smooth it down nice and smooth. You know, it's one of those things. Look, you do it the way you want, okay? I'm just showing you how I do it, you know? There's going to be people out there who always do it all wrong. I don't care. It's the way I do it, okay? You do it any way you want. It's your radio. If you want to use coarse paper that's more coarse, I think you're making a mistake, but you do it any way you want. The only way you're going to learn from this sort of thing is by making mistakes, because the things you do right, you already know how to do. You don't learn from what you already know how to do. You learn from what you do wrong. And hopefully you won't make mistakes that'll ruin these old radios. Look at how 100 people do it, and then go ahead and figure out the way you want to do it, okay? Because I always end my videos when I restore radios that, you know, this is the way I do it. The rest of you are expected to do better, and I still hold to that truth. I've got all the burls sanded down in the 2 sides, and it feels real nice now, nice and smooth. There was a lot of it was loose stuff. It had, you know, chipped up and it needed to be removed. And that sandpaper, that 1000 grit, is perfect for doing that. I might go over this one more time, but it feels nice. Now, one more thing to do. This stuff right here. What is this white stuff? And we also have it here. It's around the knob. This was the tuner knob. This is your volume control knob. And over here, we don't have hardly any. Now, what is the deal on that? Well, this is actually wax buildup. Somebody waxed this radio pretty good from time to time. And it's also a mixture of finger grease and oil, because they did a lot of tuning and they did a lot of volume control. Okay? And I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the tone control, so they kind of left it alone. And this is the band switch. Or this is the band switch and this is the tone control. I'm not sure which. Either band switch, tone control, or tone control and band switch. But anyway, that didn't get moved too much. It's mostly just the volume control knob and the tuner. A lot of grease and oil from their fingers. A lot of wax that build up that they didn't really wipe it all away and shine it up and everything. They never noticed it. So it's just built up over the years. Now I need to get some of that off there, as much as I can anyway. And because if you scratch it with your finger, you can see how it'll disappear a little bit. Yeah, makes little marks into it. See the lines I just put in there? Anyway, I don't have any wax remover, and but I do have some paint thinner, and I do have one of these microfiber towels again. And I think if I just put a little dab on there and kind of rub around it, I might be able to get rid of it. Got to get rid of as much as I can. Well, it appears to have taken some of it off. Let's try down here. Just going to rub it the best I can. Give it a good rub. Make like you're shining a shoe or something. Try to get that crap off there. I may have to wait for it to dry and go over it a second time, maybe even a third. If you don't get that off there, the stain won't take. It'll look weird. I hope we're able to do that. I tried sanding it. It wasn't enough. Just wouldn't do it. And I don't want to put any coarser sandpaper on this. Forget that. we're just going to have to keep working it till we get it. What I'm going to do now, looks like it removed the majority of it. I also went around both the other knobs. And I'm going to let it dry. We'll just let it dry and see what happens. And if it still needs to be done, I'm going to go ahead and use this fiber brush. Just go ahead and put some turpentine on it, or the paint thinner on it, and work it over with the fiber brush. Maybe that'll get down in there a little bit better. It won't hurt anything, it won't scratch it up. But we'll see. Right now, I'm ready for a cup of coffee. Well, that took care of it. Got rid of it all. That there is just, that's just, I don't know what that is. That's not part of it. It's just color in the wood. But down in here, took it all. You see where the fingerprints over the years with the fingernails and turning the knob have scraped the finish away all the way down. That's why it hung in there for so long. Okay, what we're going to do next is I'm going to seal the bottom. I'm going to seal the inside of the cabinet. But there, I said earlier that this is burl wood, B-U-R-L. If you don't know what burl is, look it up. It's expensive, yeah, and I don't know if I can get a wide enough piece for this. But after I get this thing sealed on the outside, on the the cabinet outside, front and sides and all that, once I get it sealed, I may decide to go ahead and try to find some burl wood. It's the plan B, you know. Find some burl wood and just lay in a whole new piece on here. Fill in all these little pieces with filler of some kind. I'm not going to go, ape on it. And then if they just look so bad, I mean, if these chip marks look so bad after I get it sealed, the only way I think I should go is with a new piece of burl wood. So this afternoon I will be, while the inside sealer dries, I'm not gonna do anything. Just seal it. I'm not gonna wipe up any extra. It's really nice in there now. It's really clean. Took a long time, boy, longer than I expected. Just gonna seal it all up, and then if it looks like crap when I finally get around to doing the front, then yeah, I'll probably wind up redoing it, but with a new piece of veneer. But we shall see. Time will tell. I've done it before. It's not like it's going to be the first time. It's always a plan B, okay? Well, we're getting a little low in the can, but I think we have enough. Now, you don't have to shake this or stir it. If you want to stir it, I don't know why you would, but if you want to, you can stir it. It's just it's just very thin. There's nothing to it. See, it doesn't even show up on a screwdriver, so stirring it wouldn't amount to anything. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to use the foam brush. Just going to dip it in there, get it nice and soaked. And we're just going to spread it around just like I always do. No different, no changes, okay? It'll soak in right away, and then we're going to let it soak in. I'm going to put it out in the Arkansas sun after I get the entire thing done. If I can get a little clarity here for you. Geez, I don't understand what this deal is on this camera. That's all we're going to do. Now, when you get to the grill work, be careful. Don't be slopping it around up there. You don't want it to go out and run down the front of the cabinet. That would not be cool. Okay, just kind of wait till your brush gets a little bit dry, and then you can go ahead and do around the grill work on the inside. I'm just trying to seal the cabinet. I want to seal it. Protection, that's all. Now as you go, you rotate your cabinet around, okay? This is the top, it's now facing down. Rotate it around so I can get the, underneath the top. You don't just leave it in one spot and try to do it all. This is the top. We'll get that done now. It's really quick. Just get in there and get it done. Don't worry about it. You're going to have a few runs, but that's okay. You'll never see it because it just soaks right in to the wood. That looks pretty nice already, doesn't it? See how it's soaking? See how it's running already? You don't worry about it. As your brush gets dry, you can go ahead and pick some of that up as it comes down and use it. Maybe over here. It'll soak in real good. And then of course we have to do the bottom, and then we have to do around this part here that holds it up, the giant leg, I guess, and along the back here, along the edges, like so. That's what you want to do. We are now down to back of the grill work, and you want to, you'll see that my brush is just about depleted of the heavy sealer. I don't want it to run through the holes and get all down where it's not supposed to go. And when I dip my brush in, I just do it a little bit and get it off of there. Just stay away from those holes and the edges of the grill mark until most of the sealer has been used up on your brush. Then you just kind of easy does it, just like I'm doing right here. Just easy does it. You don't put a lot of pressure on it. Just let it come off the brush on its own. As Bob Ross used to say, 2 hairs and some air. Something like that. Okay, that's going to take care of all that. I'll do a little touch up here and there that I might have missed or soaked it in too fast. But that's basically all there is to it for sealing the cabinet. You just got to take your time, be careful. Be careful. I highly recommend that you guys use it all the time. You want these cabinets sealed. You know, why would you want to go through all the sanding and everything, cleaning it up, and then just leave it unsealed so it just deteriorates from that point on? This will help stop it. One more thing, when you're doing the, it's upside down now, this is the bottom. Be careful around the edges. Again, you don't want this stuff running down the front of the veneer, okay, on that burl. This, after you put it on, you're supposed to wipe it all off. I'm not going to wipe any of it off. I'm going to leave it in there until it dries all by itself. I'm going to put it out in the old Arkansas sun, and then within 2 hours you're supposed to do your staining. Well, I'm not going to do any staining to this, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you get it to where it runs down the front of the cabinet, you're going to have to either get it off right away, or you're going to have to stain. I'm not ready to stain yet. I got to come up with the right color I want, you know. So as soon as I get done with this, it's going to be going out on the old garbage can. This is the garbage can stand I have out there. Works great. It's in the perfect position. Alright, she's on the old garbage can. Let's see how long it takes for it to completely dry. It's almost dry already. A lot of these light spots you see those are where the original glue was that held those blocks in. You're going to have different colors after you seal it on the inside. You're going to have different blotches everywhere it's glue. See where the glue hung out. They used a lot of glue in this radio. Cheap glue, junk glue, I think. But it's the way it goes. We'll do better. Well, it's been out in the old Arkansas sun now for a little over an hour, and the cabinet is hot, so that stuff is well dry by now. And when you get done with the inside of your cabinet, you know, it should look something like this. It should not be junk and gook and crap piled in the corners. It should be clean and at the very least sealed. Okay? Let's get it back on the table and see if we can't do the same to the outside. Okay, here goes nothing. I washed out the foam rubber brush with the paint thinner and let it dry. So she's good to go for this application as well. Just let her go. Just take your time. There's no rush to any of this. Now, if any of it gets on the inside of the cabinet where you've already sealed it, no problem. Let it. It'll dry again in there. It'll just soak it right in, take up what it wants, and everything will be fine. So don't make a big deal about it. Don't overthink this stuff. Too many of you guys overthink. Stop overthinking. It's just a cabinet. It's just a wooden cabinet. That's all. Just an old radio, nothing more. Don't forget to get inside the edges of your grill work. Very important. This is looking better and better by the second. I don't know what it's going to look like when it dries. Now, it does look different when it dries, okay? Right now, it looks nice because it's wet. Well, what do you think so far? That's just with the sealer. I think it looks fantastic. Fantastic. Now, unlike the inside of the cabinet, we do have to wipe this one down. This is the outside. We got to wipe down all the excess sealer. All of it. So, but after about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I've got about another 7 or 8 minutes to go, and then we'll go ahead and wipe it all down. I'm going to use these, normally I wipe it all down with a t-shirt, you know, which is, you know, lint-free old t-shirts. They worked great for staining, and they worked great for wiping down cabinets and things like that when you have, you know, a finish on them before you put the finish on. They used to work real well. But now we've got these, what do you call them? Lint-free, microfiber towels. We don't need to use t-shirts anymore. Although t-shirts work real well, trust me. Everything on the cabinet is ready for staining except the top. It's a little tacky still. So what I'm going to do, I think the reason for that is you know, I had put so much filler on there and worked it all in and everything that there's really no wood for it to absorb. So, you know, it absorbs it in all the other wood, but not the top. So I'm going to stain everything except the top. We're going to let this thing sit out in the sun maybe tomorrow for a while if it's still tacky. And once it gets dried, then we'll go ahead and stain it a little bit. It probably won't take stain very well, but we can go ahead and tone it from then on, and we'll make adjustments as necessary, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mix up some stain in this glass dish, and I'm going to use gun stock, which is my go-to. And if this can is no good, I have a second one over here. I think I even had a third one out in the garage. But then I'm going to mix a little bit of special walnut with it. See if we can't mix up a color. A little dark, you know, not real light like this color. I don't want a color like this. I want it kind of darkish. We'll have to play with it a little bit and see what I can come up with. Well, this is our gun stock. It doesn't look anything like that. It's light. It's actually a very light stain. We'll put a little bit in there like that. And we'll put a little bit of this in there, but I'm only going to put it in, oops, I'm only going to put it in by a spoon, like so. A couple of spoonfuls and see what happens. Then I'm going to go ahead and put some of it on a piece of paper here, see what kind of color we get. I'm going to use a screwdriver blade. Well, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Let me play with it a little longer and see if I can get it on the cabinet. I'm going to stain up in this area here first and see what it does. Well, that doesn't look too bad. It could be a little bit darker, but I don't think I'm going to get it any darker unless I were to mix some walnut. But you know, that's better than it was. I don't think it looks too bad. All right, let me go ahead and do the whole cabinet this way. Keep in mind now we can always come back and add a little more dark from that, what is it, medium walnut? Is that what I said it was? Special walnut. This is all going to be toned, remember. It's going to be toned. I think that looks pretty darn good so far. Well, let me work it over, see what happens. I added about another teaspoonful of dark or special walnut to that. Darkened it up even more. I think she's looking a lot better now. Alright, now it's time to work it over. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is looking really good. I like that so far. Yep, I like that a lot. We're going to finish the entire cabinet like that, and if I have to, I'll stain it a second time. Well, according to the instructions on the stain cans, you're supposed to let it set from 5 to 15 minutes and then wipe it down and wait 8 hours before putting a clear coat on it. Well, we're going to let it set overnight, and then tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and stain the top if it needs it. I might just go with a toner and forget the stain, I don't know. So let me wipe it down. That'll be the end of this video. Alright, she's wiped down. Now we'll let it sit out in the sun for a while. The Arkansas sun, I just love it when I'm trying to dry something. We'll just set it out here in the old garbage can again. And then until next time, this is John.